Here is our first question to all the candidates, and the question is, the current crisis over the Strait of Hormuz demonstrates how regional conflicts can threaten global energy markets and trade, closing a critical shipping lane for the world. Yet, the Security Council was unable to adopt a resolution. If diplomacy inside the Council fails, what would you do to ensure the UN still plays a meaningful role in keeping the peace? Let's start with Ms. Caroline Rodriguez-Burkett. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Haslinda. Indeed, we have not been able to see the results we want to see in ending the conflict in the Strait of Hormuz. But I believe that there is space for the Secretary General when there is no agreement by members of the Security Council to present options that could possibly be utilized to dialogue with the conflict parties. I'm not oblivious to the geopolitical situation, but one thing the Secretary General does not have the luxury of doing, and that is not trying. The Secretary General must try, and I would be that Secretary General that would try, whether it is in Iran or in Haiti or in Sudan or in the DRC, to put those proposals to the Security Council if the tools at my disposal as Secretary General are not good enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Macky Sall.
Merci beaucoup. Vous l'avez rappelé.
As you reminded us, there are many different crises, and the UN is not at the heart of negotiations on them. Sometimes the organization is on the sidelines. On the Strait of Hormuz and on many great crises, we need more than ever a Security Council that functions in line with the provisions of the UN Charter. Because in reality, global security, peace and stability is something that is incumbent on the Security Council, and the lack of trust between the members today, particularly between the permanent members, is that means that crises go on without solutions being found. As Secretary General, the added value I could bring is to speak to everyone, even at times of difficult tension, and create the necessary corridors of dialogue so that our goal to keep the world safe be one that is carried by this organization. So to be in dialogue with everyone, speak to everyone, build bridges of communication. Thank you.
Rebecca Greenspan.
Thank you. The blockade of the Security Council is when the job of the Secretary General starts, because precisely is to open the possibilities for agreement, the job of the Secretary General. I was in a very similar situation when we brokered the agreement in the Black Sea initiative, precisely for the grain and the cereals be able to be traded, and for prices in the world markets to drop, and for people around the world not to suffer the consequences of the regional conflict. And we can do the same in the Strait of Hormuz. We should have engaged very early on with all the actors to try to open up, at least for the benefit of the people that are suffering far away from the situation in the Strait of Hormuz that is affecting everybody.
Michelle Bachelet.
Well, I think that, first of all, the Secretary General should try to prevent and anticipate these things from happening. That way, they cannot be prevented. Of course, he has to use all the tools that the UN Charter gives them. Good officers, has to maintain bridges with parties in dispute, insist on the peaceful settlement of disputes. It can mediate, send special envoys, etc., etc. Sit together with member states, with the regional grouping, and see what else can we all together produce a positive effect. It's not easy, but I think the most important thing is that the Secretary General cannot give up. He has to insist and try and see different strategies and help member states to identify different strategies so peace can be brought to the people. At the same time, he has to ensure that the organization provides humanitarian assistance and support victims of those conflicts so we have no lives lost.
Rafael Mariano Grossi.
The metric of the success of the Security Council in a world like the one we are having is certainly not the amount of resolutions that can be adopted. We all assume that there is fragmentation, so the absence of an agreed resolution, one could say, is the most predictable outcome of these situations. Today, by coincidence, today, in this House, the Security Council was meeting, and they were discussing preventive diplomacy, conflict resolution, and of course, the issue of Chapter 6, Article 33, the Charter, all these things that are being mentioned. The issue, then, is not that we do not agree that the Secretary General has a role to play in those circumstances. The issue is to have the Secretary General that is really able to do that, to be impartial. Impartiality is one of the most difficult traits of the job of the Secretary General, which is not indifference, it is having the ability to put forward concrete solutions, to listen, not to condemn, to be there to solve a problem.
Maria Fernanda Espinosa.
Well, I think the conflict that you described shows us the current nature of conflicts. They are regional, they have spillover effects, and I think that the UN should mobilize the muscle of the UN to look at the spillover effects and support countries that are sometimes thousands of miles away because of the increase in energy prices, in food prices, the disruption of supply chains. So that is a role for the Secretary General. And the second role is, as my colleagues have stated clearly, persistence, being an honest broker, not just claim that you are impartial, but be perceived as an impartial, honest broker by the member states. There is always space for the Secretary General to operate as an honest broker. And of course, a Secretary General has to be persistent and physically present where she is needed.